So for an automation museum update, we're about and I don't talk about this a lot, I should talk about this more, but we're at about 7% of our goal, which is great because we started at 0, as you might have remember. And so I just want to thank some of these people you may recognize from over on LinkedIn. Larry, I want to thank Larry for his donation, Ryan for his donation, Lassie and Brandon, thank you all for supporting it. I'm at the bottom of the list too. I was the first because I launched it. I supported it first. I also donated the automationmuseum.org, which takes you here, and the automationmuseum.com as well to the site. That was about $35 to get those two set up. And what this is, what the fundraising goal is, the tier 1, the $3,000. This is just to get the nonprofit set up and the website set up. So I'm not going to build the website. I spent all my time building the automation school and blog and managing that. I would like someday I'm going to outsource that as well. But I just want somebody to build a basic website we can build on, and we need that. I think it's a 501(c), so we can accept donations and actually make them nonprofit, so they are tax deductible, right? So in any case, I wanted to share that with you. So 7% of our goal, that's great. And last time when I was talking about the Automation Museum, I was talking about the PLC 5. So today, and thanks for Ryan, who is our top donor so far, he mentioned something called the 1750 PMC from Rockwell Automation. Now, if you don't know, that's one of Rockwell's earliest PLCs they have ever made. I don't know much about it. Matter of fact, I didn't get in this industry until 1990. So the old stuff then were PLC 2s, PLC 3s, 1333s, 1335s. That was kind of like the legacy stuff. And the new stuff was the PLC 5 and the Slick 500 just coming out at that time. And a few years later, the Micrologic. So in any case, that's kind of when I started. So I didn't get to work on any of the original early 70s stuff, right? So I was just a baby in the early 70s, or a toddler. But in any case, let me bring you back to here and let's take a look. Now, the first official PLC, I wrote a nice article about, well, I shouldn't say I wrote a nice article. I wrote an article about this over at the Automation blog. You determine if it's nice or not. But in any case, I had the opportunity in my previous role of 25 years being a certified automation specialist for a Rockwell distributor. I had the opportunity to scan in a bunch of those early documents, right? So, and if anybody's thrown away all their old early documents, send them to me, throw them my way. But we'll take them in a donation and then hand them over to the automation school. But I'm sorry, to the Automation Museum, where all that old stuff will go. I do have, I don't know, a storage unit full of stuff I want to donate. It's like all kinds of old books and manuals and brochures. But anything prior to that goes back too far. And I know one of my libraries at one of my former employers got tossed, and I just didn't reach out soon enough to ask them to donate it to the museum. But in any case, I did get to scan in some of the very first PLC brochures that's in that big blue binder that some of you distributors may remember. And if you guys have that and you're thinking to throw it away, send it our way. We'll preserve it in the school. Just think of what, I keep saying the school, the museum. Just think of all the things we could display. But in any case, this article talks about the PDQ2. And you may be like, Sean, PDQ2, does that mean there was a PDQ1? Yes, but Rockwell was only an investor in 3i with the PDQ1. They didn't fully own 3i until the PDQ2 came out. And you can even see, I even include here some of the designed and manufactured by 3i, serviced and sold by Allen Bradley. So even at this time in 1970, they still had that. They still didn't wholly own 3i. They did. I think they bought them in 71. But in any case, so this is not what Ryan was talking about. This is the first one. This one had some downsides. It was still super interesting. If you want to know more about it, check up here. But this was the first Allen Bradley product that used an XIC and an XIO. And some people say, well, Rockwell should use the standard, the IEEE, IEC 61131-3 standard. And it's like, why? The standard came out so far later than their PLCs. Why not keep it the same for their customers? So you can go either way on that. But in any case, But in thanks to Ryan for his large donation towards the Automation Museum, I wanted to pull up some of those old brochures and kind of show you what the 1750 PMC was. I believe this was the direct next release after the PDQ-2. Okay, and you can see actually the program, it looks almost identical. Maybe it is identical. But you can kind of get a good look at it there. There's no middle ground with this zoom. Let me lean over here and see if I can zoom out for a minute. Okay, so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like here. And this, I would love to have this in the Automation Museum. Actually find one of these, get it working, and maybe even have people come in and like do a tutorial on it, kind of go over the history on it. I just think this would be so much fun. And not just Allen Bradley, all the different vendors. But in any case, PMC stands for Programmable Matrix Controller, but right on the front of the unit it says Programmable Controller. So the matrix may have referred to the solid state memory that they were using for the first time. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not read this complete thing cover to cover. I think it's 12 or 14 pages before this morning's show. But in any case, you can see some of this here. If you're interested, you can pause. I do not have an article on this. I'd love to do one though. But in any case, it's very, very similar to the PDQ-2 and really honestly the PLCs we have today, but it's just old. And let me show you a couple more screens here. And when I scanned these, I made sure I scanned them high, very, very high detail so that we could really zoom in on them. But in any case, so you can see the ladder program on the top right, and then you can see the instructions. This is how you would code it. Again, you weren't drawing it physically. You were typing it in, kind of like how you would type in if you were editing a RONG in RS Logix or Studio 5000, how you can go in there and type on it. That's how you would do it here. So you can see XIC, XIC, BRT, that's branch, right? And then XIC, XOE, right? That's asking, and so you couldn't do an XIC on an output, which is interesting, right? Because now we can examine an output state, but they had separate instructions. They had the XOE that examined if an output was energized. And then here, they're using a set, okay? So I wonder if you need a reset. The set command today, of course, you need a reset for it. Today, we call that latch and unlatch, right? And yeah, so this set, just reading that quickly, it looks like it's an OTE equivalent. So very interesting stuff there. And then we come over here. This is a kind of a picture of what it looks like. And I believe these programmers look so similar to the ones for the PDQ-2. But you can see they're programming an EEPROM here and putting in the memory board. 1750, I can't read that. It looks like a BD. But in any case, just to give you an idea what it would look like. So we'd like to get one of these in the school. I did it again, in the museum. And if we can raise that money for the fundraiser, right? We can at least get the 5013C open. And what I want to do is every week, I want to cover some of the old stuff. I have actually 4 things queued up that people have sent in. I have one of those device net meter thingies. I have a PMC K card. I have a old. I think I've shown it on the show before. I think it's an old Square D PLC demo case, which is really heavy and big, but it's kicking around here under a table somewhere. And so every week I'll try to go over one of those with you to talk about the Automation Museum. And if you do have a couple of dollars extra and you want to kick it towards it, we'd love to get this off the ground so it can be a nonprofit. And then we can go after some of the big guys to fund maybe exhibits in an actual building that you could visit. So with that, I just want to wish you guys all an awesome weekend and week ahead. I want to wish you all good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.